And actually, I wanted to ask you about Monstrous because I saw that you've got teasers available on Wattpad.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I think it said you had over 50,000 reads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Something like
why are we not going to be getting the full version of Monstrous C at some point in the near future?
So it has been my dream since I was a young child to have Monstrous C like professionally published by a big publishing house, like just to get it the royal treatment, right? Which could backfire horribly. But it's one of those things where like I have, and people ask me this all the time. So in case anybody is listening who's wondering, I have the entire first book of Monstrous C written. Like it's written, hasn't been edited, nothing's been done with it. It's written. I have 136,000 words of book 2 written. Again, not finished, not edited, but it's
136,000 words is not finished?
Nope. It's probably going to be like 100 and I had my target was like 150 and I'm just now in like part 4 of 6, I think. So I'm like, this might end up being a little bit longer than that. I'm sure it would get cut down in editing, but like, yeah, I'm partway through that. And so it's like, these things exist. They could be published. The reason they're not is because of me not wanting to do self-publishing. I would really love for it to be put through a professional publishing house to really go through the rigorous editing process. Not that self-published books can't be rigorously edited, but I would like it to have that experience and to be able to reach that kind of market. And so for the Wattpad thing, like I will keep posting like teasers and little snippets and stuff on there as long as I can. But for the most part, it's like I'm like, I want to post the whole thing. I just want to give people the whole thing, but I can't. And it makes me so sad. And like, I want to talk to people. I love it when like somebody, really gets into reading it and like just gets into the characters and like either draws fan art or goes on Tumblr and asks me like specific questions about things. So like in Eliza and Her Monsters, she meets some characters who take on screen names of characters in Monstrous C. We've got a lot of levels here. And this person asked me like, what are the powers that these characters inside Monstrous C have that like relate to these screen names? Like, what can they do? What are they like? The people who are asking me more like world building questions about Monstrous C, and like even from just the snippets they've gotten of it, they're asking me all these great questions about things, and I'm like, oh, I love it. Just ask me more things. Like I want to tell you everything. I just want to give you. I would give you like a compendium of the entire world if I could.
But that kind of Pottermore, but for Monstrous C.
Yeah. I actually have so I use Scrivener for a lot of my writing. And I have a Monstrous C world building document. And like it's nuts when I open it on the sidebar. So if you've never used Scrivener, on the sidebar, you can have like all your different folders and there's different ways to organize things or whatever. And in this world building document, I have folders for every like continent, every ocean, every island, every city, every different place. And in these, I'm like trying to write out like, what are the different like creatures that exist? What are the cultures that are here? What are the different, things that they wear, toys that they have, languages they speak. And it's just when I get started doing it, it's like, it's so much fun. And I just have such a good time just kind of like playing God basically in this world and just being able to like, I want to zoom in on this one little part of this ocean. Be like, what's in this part of the ocean? Let's make up a thing that's here, and that may not even come up in the books, but it's just like a cool part of the world that I can bring up later if I want to. And so I have this whole big long Scrivener document with all this information in it, and I found out that inside Scrivener you can link different documents to each other inside that big document, like Wikipedia. So you can create hyperlinks inside of it. I was like, oh my God, I can make my own Wikipedia for Monstrous C inside the Scrivener document. And it was like the greatest revelation of my life. And I was so happy about it.
Why don't I? Well, there's a lot in publishing I don't understand, which is a good part of the reason I'm doing this show is to learn. Tell me.
Right.
But
Right.
It's just I can't help but wonder. Like you're Francesca Zappia. I've read multiple articles just today saying, "Is this Indiana's next John Green?" I came across like 20 different articles that all said that, and the obligatory eye roll. I know, but if people called me the next John Green, excellent. Continue to call me that. Great.
I'm not going to say don't do it.
I mean, I'm not. This isn't the next crash course, but you go on and you say that, and I love you for saying it. But you've had a great deal of success, and I don't understand why when you come into the publishing world and say, "Hey, world, I'm Francesca Zappia. We're doing this." Everybody doesn't snap to attention. And because I know it's publishing, and there are lots of folks that I've asked the same question of, and they're like, "No, man, nobody gets to that level except for like Stephen King, and he might not be at that level."
Right.
Because publishing can always just go, no.
Yeah.
But when you've got a proven fan base, when you've already got the 50,000 reads, apropos of I'm assuming very limited marketing, you're obviously very passionate about it. Where's the wiggle room, man?
I don't know, man. Like, so I think, so part of the thing is, so this is crazy to me because I think 50,000 is a lot. And then, like my agent looks at 50,000 and she's like, that's not so great. Maybe we don't say that to them. And I'm like, what? So they're looking at like, they need like millions. But it's like, part of it, I think, has been a career trajectory thing. So because my first two books were contemporary, we've been trying to slowly, like ease my readers into my fantasy, sci-fi, paranormal type of stuff. Because that is what I love to write. That's what most of my writing is. I actually don't write that much contemporary. So I'm very sorry if anybody is listening to this and is like, I love your contemporary books. I might write more in the future, but that's not my main thing. That's not what a lot of my ideas are. So it's part of like trying to transition more into that stuff. So you don't want to come out of two contemporary books and then hit people with like hard, science fantasy, where like a hard 4-book science fantasy series. So, and it was one of those things of like, they don't know if there's a big enough fan base to make that a thing.
Oh, they do now. I just told them.
Oh yeah, you just now. Hey, HarperCollins, why don't you just get on that? God, that would be great. That would be so great. But it's like, it might also be one of those things where they're like, we're just not sure how to market this yet, so it's like, it's that real weird thing where it might be a lot of little things adding up to why it hasn't happened yet. Maybe there is one central reason. I'm just not sure what it is. But the main thing for me right now is like, I absolutely love seeing that people are into it. I love it so much. And like, that's what the publisher wants to see, is the demand for it. And they want to see that, people are interested in this, and more people continue getting interested in it as they read Eliza. And all they got of it from Eliza was little snippets. They got barely anything. They've gotten barely anything from the teaser on Wattpad. And so as long as that keeps growing and people keep showing interest in it, and it, just kind of keeps rolling along, there is a better and better chance that it could happen. And I'm obviously never going to stop pushing for it to happen.
And you're still writing it, yeah.
And I'm still writing it. So, and that's another thing that publishers like to see. Like, oh, you have a series? Oh, you already have this much of it like written out. So yeah, you might have to change all of that, but like you have the capability to write multiple books. So there's different things they like to see, they really have to have that proof that you're going to sell. They have to know that there's a fan base for it. They have to know how to market it. All kinds of things. They have to know that the market is right for that kind of book, which I think it is, because I've been seeing a lot of science fantasy books come out. And actually, slight tangent, it really, it's like a pet peeve of mine when, which this may be something that they have to do because people just don't know what science fantasy is. But I've seen more science fantasy books being pitched recently and like being acquired, but they always call it like either science fiction with a fantasy twist or fantasy with a science fiction twist or genre bending science fiction fantasy or whatever. And I'm like, it's called science fantasy. It's a thing. It already exists. You can just call it what it is. And so I think it's part of that of like,
like Christopher Columbus. What are all these people doing on the land I just discovered?
Right. Okay, you must be Indians. Nope, we're not in the Indies, sir.
Yeah, you are now, though. Moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's so many different factors. If I could make it happen, I would do it in a heartbeat. I might be sad about it because there's this trend of like, after I write a book and put it out there, I kind of like, I don't think about it as much anymore. So like with Made You Up, I don't really think about those characters. Every once in a while, I'll come back to them, but I don't. That book is done. It's set aside. Now I have more room in my brain for other things. And so I'm really worried that like when I finish Monstrous Sea, it's going to be like, there's going to be this huge, it's kind of like how Eliza feels about it. Because a lot of her feelings in that book were kind of autobiographical, where it's like, she feels like, what's she going to do when Monstrous Sea is done? She's going to be like a puppet with her strings cut. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen if it ever gets published and it's finished? And like, am I just going to stop moving? Like, am I going to, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen because I have so many other ideas in that world, and the world is there's so many things to do and to explore that I'm pretty sure I can just be like, I could just go write another one now. Like, I don't have to leave that world if I don't want to.
Well, you can do, anything you want, really, can't you?
Yeah. See, my big thing with stories is that, like, every story has to have an end. So I probably, most likely, see, I'm going to say never, and then it's going to happen. Most likely, I will never, like, once a story with a certain set of characters is done, I probably won't, like, resurrect them to, like, oh, I finished this trilogy, and that was just going to be the trilogy. Oh, but I thought of a new trilogy, and they're going to be in this one too. I probably won't do that. I tend to think out my stories and have a definite endpoint for them. And then where they end, like, that's it. That's the end of that character's story. I might have another one in the same world. But I like to plan it out. And I as a viewer / reader, I hate it when things just don't end. Like the Marvel movies. I loved watching Avengers Endgame. I watched all the movies up to that. And then I was like, okay, this is my stopping point because I cannot keep watching these because they can just go on forever.
Yeah.
Which some people love, and I'm like, I can't do it. I am going to watch the new Doctor Strange, though, because it is going to be a horror movie, so,
Oh, I'm going to watch Black Widow, too, and Black Panther 2 can't get here soon enough.
But yeah, all stories have to have an end. So with those characters, I would probably close out that quartet, if that is what it ends up being. But I would definitely go do other things in that world. And there may be, like, hints of those characters, there may be mentions of those characters, but it would not be a continuation of that story.